Well, good morning. It is the appointed time for the meeting for the MAPS 3 Citizens Advisory Board for October 25th, 2018. We'll call the meeting to order. Carol, do you agree that we have a quorum? Yes. All right. Item number 2, I want to call on Mark Beck, who has a resolution to present to us. Mark?
Good morning. Whereas Pam Henry was an original member of the MAPS 3 Citizens Advisory Board Trails and Sidewalks Subcommittee, appointed November 16, 2010, and whereas Pam Henry was appointed by the Mayor of the City of Oklahoma City and thereafter confirmed to serve as a subcommittee member by the City Council of Oklahoma City, and whereas Pam Henry contracted polio at the age of 14 months and later became the last poster child for the March of Dimes, and whereas despite her diagnosis, Pam Henry never allowed it to deter her ambitions, and whereas Pam Henry in 1972 became the first female reporter for WKY-TV, Oklahoma City, where she spent 30 years in broadcast news and political coverage, and whereas Pam Henry had a keen interest in advocacy for the advancement of causes supporting the disabled, and whereas Pam Henry performed her duties as a subcommittee member with excellence and in the best interest of Oklahoma City and the MAPS 3 Citizens Advisory Board Trails and Sidewalks Subcommittee, and she will be greatly missed. Now therefore be it resolved by the MAPS 3 Citizens Advisory Board that they do hereby recognize and commend Pam Henry for her fine contributions as a MAPS 3 Trails and Sidewalks Subcommittee member and for her valued public service. Be it further resolved by the MAPS 3 Citizens Advisory Board that they do hereby extend their deepest sympathies to the family and friends of Pam Henry.
Thank you, Mark. I'll call on Sue Hooper, who's the chair of that subcommittee, for a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt this resolution expressing our loss and appreciation for the service of Pam Henry, one of our most valued colleagues. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. Many thanks. Also want to mention as we begin our meeting today the absence of our colleague and Councilman Lee E. Cooper, Jr. Councilman Cooper lost his mother this week, and her funeral was yesterday. He will not be with us today. Just wanted to note for the record that we send our condolences to his family as well, and to the whole family. So with that, we'll move to item 3 on the agenda. We have the minutes of the September 27th meeting before you that you've been furnished ahead of the meeting. Are there additions or corrections to those minutes? It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The minutes are approved. David, we have the revenue and expenditure report under item 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, you have the MAPS 3 revenue and expenditure report for the period ending September 30th, 2018. On the revenue side, because of adjustments in receipts that we get, we actually have a deduction of $64,940. For the fiscal year, we have $1,242,322. And total of $825,079,274. On the expenditure side for the month, we have $5,326,856. Fiscal year, $25,422,062, and total expenditures of $460,076,981. Then you also have your budget and obligations report showing the various projects and the expenditures there. So I can answer any questions if you might have any.
Are there questions for David about the revenue and expenditure report or about the budget and obligation report that has been received? Shall we receive it? It's been moved and seconded that we receive the report as presented. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The report is noted as being received. Item 5, David.
Item 5 is recommend resolution approving amendment number 8 to the contract for architectural services of Populous Incorporated MAPS 3 Convention Center, increase of $65,286, project M3-C003. So this contract amendment does several things. It compensates Populous for the enhancements that they've started looking at, the enhancements being the extra things that the subcommittee had thought about adding, and actually 2 of the change orders are those things. Then it also deducts fees associated with the pedestrian bridge because we change ordered that out of the project. And you'll see in the change order, as I said, that the additions were foundations in the loading dock and an elevator, another service elevator, and then also it adds construction administration services for the parking in Broadway Avenue because those were accepted as alternates, and at the time we didn't know if they would need that or not. And this comes with the approval from the subcommittee.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is adopted. Item 6, David.
Item 6 is recommend resolution approving change order number 4 and amendment number 4, MAPS 3 Convention Center, increase of $72,470.75, project M3-C003. This is what I would consider a routine change order when we have a project under construction. There were some structural steel modifications for $6,000, and then there were some electrical modifications. Some circuits were omitted that should have been on there for the circuit breakers, for the 12 circuits, for the motorized shades that are in some of the meeting rooms. And then there was also, as part of the amendment, there was some contaminated soil as they were doing the foundations out there that had to be removed. So remember that the amendment is a previously approved amount, and this is just it's simple math. How many yards of this did we remove, and here's how much they charge. So this comes with the approval from the subcommittee also.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. Item 7, David.
Item 7 is recommend resolution approving change order number 5, MAPS 3 Convention Center, increase of $405,149. Let me try that again. $405,149, project M3-C003. So this is a change order that is actually pretty forward-looking for the subcommittee. We looked at enclosing the loading docks so that it could be conditioned and out of the elements. It really proved to be pretty expensive now. But what we are doing is adding foundations underneath the docks there so that at a later time they can go in and enclose the docks if they choose to, maybe in phase 2 when we do the expansion, because the docks will have to be extended, and at that time they could enclose those docks and the foundations will already be there ready to carry that load. So this comes with the recommendation from the subcommittee.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 8, David.
Item 8 is recommend resolution approving change order number 6, MAPS 3 Convention Center, increase of $419,217, project M3-C003. This is another change order that was on what we're calling the enhancements with the convention center. So we have a freight elevator in the back of house, and there's a service elevator, but there's concerns if any time the service elevator was to go out, we would need an alternative service elevator. So this is part of that wish to add the service elevator. It is just the foundations part of the project. Understand that there will be another change order that will come before this body for the actual elevator piece of it. But since they're out there drilling foundations right now, and that is the work that they're doing, that we need to get at least this part of it done. So Populous was able to put together new foundation plans and able to do this. And this comes with approval from the subcommittee.
Been Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution's adopted. I just want to note that it's really great after all this time for us to be having all these items for the convention center as we get started on this. So we've had several years of not hearing too much about work orders at the convention center. So getting underway is really a great thing. Congratulations, David.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 9.
Item 9 is a recommended resolution accepting MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 2 and placing the maintenance bond into effect, project M3-H003. So it's a very good day. I like bringing these to you when we finish a project, and it turned out so well. I'd like to ask John Sentner to come up and just show you the results of this project. And John is with FSB, the architectural firm that did the project.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you to the committee. This really is one of those joyous days we get to come and recommend acceptance of one of our buildings, one of our designs. I get to be the one representing a wonderful team of my architects and engineers at FSB. George Marquez, our project manager, is here with me today. They really did a great job. Our design partner Moody Nolan, also did a wonderful job. Working with the operator, Northcare, the MAP staff, really, we're really excited about this successful project. To kind of click through some of the images of the building itself, here is the monumental sign of the now named Pete White Health and Wellness Center. It's right in front of the Walker Avenue street. It's a great entry to the building. You can see the site here right in the heart of Capitol Hill, right next to Capitol Hill High School. Throughout the presentation today, I'm going to show a little bit of what our design was versus what the actualities were. You can see the building there on the lower right-hand side, the southeast corner. Really gives it prominence to Walker and really brings it to the front of the east-west site. On the left side of the screens, you can see the tennis courts and the new parking lots that we're having to relocate and add as part of the project to make way for our new facility. This grand aerial view shows the totality of the property. A nice, inviting drive brings you up to the property. As you come to the main entrance, you can see the awning that was added. That really is a great feature to allow people to come, drop off there, being protected from the elements. You can see here kind of our conceptual image on the left to the final image on the right. Really, we're delivering what we said we would. Here's a closer image of that awning. You can see it overhanging the car there. On the back side, we envisioned a great lawn, glass from the workout facility, so you can overlook this nice space. It's really turned out nice. We talked about the frontage on Walker. Here you can see the glass looking into the pool. The pool and the aquatics really are one of the great features of the senior wellness centers, and putting it right at the front of the building is something we're proud of. This clinic, this facility, kind of the special nature that Northcare brought to it was the clinic and pharmacy. And so this is the secondary entrance for that. You can see the parking lot and the school behind our neighbor. The back side, you can see here a little patio off of the arts and culture room, kind of the back of house loading dock area. Getting into some of the fun stuff, the exercise room. Pickleball's real popular, as well as a lot of aerobics and activities in here. The pool, once again, a mainstay of the design, is loved and heavily used. We have a full commercial kitchen that both allows us to serve the multipurpose room next door, and also serves as a teaching kitchen. So it's really a great multi-use space. This is the inside of the art room, where people can come in and get classes of arts and culture, smaller topics that maybe are a little messier than go on in the larger multipurpose room. Then back around to the pharmacy and the clinic area. This is kind of the main hub, which NorthCare will be moving into later this year. This is the pharmacy, ready for all of the the goods, so to say. And then down into the clinic, just some shots of the corridor. Here's a nurse's station. Several of the exam rooms are back in there. And then back out to the front kind of lobby area. When you walk in, this is the first thing you approach is the cafe. To the right of the cafe is a little cyber nook, so you can come use your computer, hang out in the club room right there, and all of that is off of the main lobby. Here you can see the rendering and the final of the welcome desk and the cafe. The main two-story space in the building is the cardio and workout facilities. You can see here the two-story running track on the upper, and most of the heavy weights down on the ground floor. Here's a good shot of that track overlooking that back grassy area. It really gives great views to the outside. Some exciting administrative offices, the heart of every building. And then a game room, just for people to come in and casually play a game of pool or chess and interact with each other. Overall, the total construction amount came in right under $11.4 million. We held our grand opening on the 4th. With that, any questions? Really exciting project.
Questions?
Just a comment, Tom. Yesterday at our subcommittee meeting, we learned from NorthCare the grant that they received. I know you were at the meeting to hear about it. It's pretty exciting. Right at $1 million, and it will provide transportation services. It will also provide membership dues for folks that go to NorthCare that are 50 or older, that are low income and want to go to that center. The other thing we learned is that the medical part of the medical clinic is set to open on November 15th. So we expect that alone should increase membership over time as folks are referred to the wellness center that come there for health care. So it's an exciting time. Of course, the membership is not what Wellness Center number 1 is, which is off the roof. We know that, but it's slowly. But the demographics of the neighborhood, I think, somewhat explain that, and hopefully over time and incrementally that membership will grow.
Now, I understand, Mike, there are people that don't just live right in that area that are driving there to take advantage of the pool. Could you, including you, how's your experience been?
Well, as I've told people, I may have said it here. I go to water aerobics. I try to go 2 to 3 times a week. It's been busier lately, but I'm in a class with 6 old guys and about 25 beautiful women. And so, it's not a pretty picture seeing me in and out of the water, so please don't come and observe. But it's making a difference in my back. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Tom.
Well, I hope to join you when I meet the age requirement. Okay, excuse our levity. Thank you. Further questions?
I move the resolution.
It's been moved and seconded that we pass the resolution. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Well, it's a red letter day for senior wellness centers, and we thank you for your wonderful work on this project, and we're very excited about what it means to the overall MAP 3 projects in general, and thank you for doing a great job for us. Really appreciate it. Okay, next item, David.
Item 10 is recommend resolution approving architectural services contract with Hornbeek Blatt Architects, MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 3, fee of $1,082,400, project M3-H004. So we're very glad to be bringing this to you so that we start design on the third wellness center.
Is there a second?
I second. And I just wanted to express my excitement as well for finally moving forward with the very beginning of Senior Wellness Center number 3.
I appreciate that. I think we're all excited about it. Are there further comments or further discussion?
Does someone want to show exactly, probably where that location for that third
Right, the location is going to be in the area of Northeast 23rd and ML King, that general vicinity. The architect will help us determine an exact site and size of property that's in this contract.
Okay, good news. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed, no. It is approved. So we're off and running on Wellness Center number 3. We're ready. All right, item number 11, David.
Number 11 is recommend approval of additional improvements to MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 1, utilizing excess collections and/or interest from the Oklahoma City Capital Improvement Sales Tax Fund for the MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Centers project, estimated cost of $3,500,000. There's been a lot of discussion on this. I believe that this group in past meetings has seen some of the desires that the operator of Wellness Center wants. The subcommittee saw this yesterday and ultimately approved going forward with this.
Yeah, yes, I just wanted to add, the operator came to us with actually a really good need in the sense that we are beyond capacity. I think the average, and I think we're going to do a presentation on it. Well, they'll give us what our projected enrollment was about 2,000, and we're averaging about 5,000. So some of the improvements will be to alleviate some of the pressure on the beginning facility. I just want the council to take it under consideration, really because this is our flagship. It's our first one, it's number 1, and I think if we can approve the I think much needed enhancements, that it'll serve us well as a city to have that as a model.
Right, and we have the operator here who would like to speak on this item. Bill Fleming's here, and Claire Dowers-Nichols is here also, if you would entertain them.
Absolutely. Bill, how many meetings is this that you've been to since we started this?
Couple.
All right.
We were talking about that earlier. Thank you for the opportunity to go to them.
Go ahead, Claire.
Claire's going to start with a presentation
Good.
of all of us and budget numbers.
Thank you. Claire?
Oh, you're driving. Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here, and we're very excited with what we can report to you. We opened in March of 2017, as I'm sure you know, and our goal at that point, and when the Board of Directors submitted the proposal a few years ago, was to have 2,000 members by the end of the 24th month. So we've exceeded that just a little bit. We have gone beyond any expectation we could have had. As of Monday, we had just over 5,500 members. We started the year just a little over 4,000. We have grown an average of at least 200 a month. So we see that growth continuing. I don't see any sign of it slowing down. And it's easy to look at these as numbers. And when we're doing our reports, it's easy. We think, okay, these are numbers, and then then I stop and I go and I walk the building and I'm reminded daily, these are lives. And these are wonderful stories that are being changed because of what MAPS 3 has brought to Oklahoma City. And I would like for some of our members to tell you a little bit just briefly.
Good morning. How are you today? My name's Debbie, and my husband and I have been members here since June of this year. We originally joined because we work on flipping houses, and in between we need some exercise. So a few weeks after we joined, I was actually diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, and so things changed for us. But in July I had surgery, started chemo, and as soon as the doctor said I could, I started coming back up here so I could work out. The best thing was I could work out on and go to classes on the levels I could do as I started my recovery, because at first I could only do a little bit. I really enjoy a lot of the classes, done the Tai Chi, and I love the Fitness First one where I could really get exercise and get some aerobic in. Also love line dancing. That has been so much fun. I know a couple of ladies in there. A couple of times the class has been so huge we've had to have 4 lines instead of 3. A couple of men come, he doesn't, but a couple of other guys come. And so I enjoy the line dancing, and it's just made my recovery process so much easier because it's all on my schedule, and that's helped so much.
My name is Leslie Shaw. I've been a member of this place since March 2018. The best decision ever made in my life was to join this place. What I love the most about this place is the friends I've made, the trainers like Cody, Morgan. They help me, just out of the kindness of their heart. And I've made a lot of friends here. I would not trade my experience at this place for nothing in the world. I love it out here. From the staff, from the top people on down, I just love this place.
My name's Roger Jackson. This is my wife, Karen Jackson. We've been a member of the Wellness Center here since it opened, March the 20th of 2017. We come to the Wellness Center 6 days a week, and we're here working out on the weight machines for 30 minutes. Then we like to get into the swimming pool for 30 minutes and swim laps.
Hi, I'm Carol, and I've been a member of Healthy Living since it opened about 1.5 years ago, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. A year ago, I took the wellness class, Total Wellness it was called, that was offered here in the fall, and I was able to lose 12 pounds by just learning how to eat healthier. I knew it all the time, but, we forget, get into bad habits, and portion control, etc. And so it's really been wonderful. And it's really helped also to take a little bit of pressure off the knees and the hip, losing a few pounds.
Thank you for listening to that. When we put out the call for volunteers to share their story, we had apparently quite a lengthy list and had to turn several people away. So we are blessed with members that are very pleased. I hear weekly this is the best use of tax dollars I've ever seen. So that ought to tell you doing something right. So you've heard some personal stories. I'd like to show you just a brief kind of a month at a glance. These are attendance numbers from September. You'll see a few things here. First of all, our total visits for the month were 14,840 with a daily average of 618. On the bar chart to the left, you'll see several spikes. Those are typically Mondays when we average a minimum of 900 people through the door every day. We have a lot of fitness classes. We're closed on Saturday or on Sunday. Saturday we close early, so I think there's a rush of people. We are working on some programming that can help kind of even out those. Our Saturday numbers are a little lower this month, and we have decided we attribute that to college football season, which I completely understand. We have also analyzed zip code. We're looking at geographic reach. The top 3 zip codes represent 55% of our membership, And the top 10 total are equal to a little over 85%. So our geographic expansion is really, people aren't coming from as far as we thought they are. We do have several outliers. People come in from Edmond, Arcadia, Crescent, but as you'll see, the majority are right there. Looking at, drilling down a little more detail, if you look at a week, just what does a week at Healthy Living OKC look like? We offer currently, the month of October, 55 group fitness classes a week. We added 5 in October to help with the crowding. We plan on adding at least 3 more starting in the month of November. These continue to grow. They are at capacity. Many of them have been moved from the aerobic studio to the gym, the full-size gymnasium, which causes some other problems. We offer a minimum of 15 art classes a week. There are countless benefits, therapeutic benefits for arts and creativity and aging. And this is a field and activities that are really growing within our center. 10 different special events, educational events each week, and then 25 average interest groups a week, ranging, you'll see some of the examples there. So these are exciting times, but it does present some problems. Very good problems. I would much rather have this kind of problem. We have limited parking. We have overly crowded women's locker rooms. I believe in the planning phases, folks undershot the use that people would be willing, older women and older men too, would be willing to change in front of others. I can assure you, after having to go in there a few times for issues, there's no problem there. The only problem is when we have 60 to 70 people try to show up for a water aerobics class, and then they want to change, and there are 3 showers and 3 changing stalls. Many of our art classes, most of them are at capacity. We repeat them several times, but typically we put sign-up sheets up, and those are typically filled up within a day or 2. Talked about the group fitness classes being at capacity. We're trying to add more. And there's also competition for the gymnasium activities. You may have heard of a little sport called pickleball. It seems to be growing leaps and bounds. We also have a growing men's 3-on-3 basketball network that, believe it or not, the pickleball folks and the basketball folks don't always see eye to eye and don't always want to play in the sandbox well. So we've had to intervene a few times the last few weeks. We're getting there. We're going back to what we learned in kindergarten. Just some photos to kind of illustrate what's going on. Obviously, the left is our art studio, full as it normally is. The upper right picture is one of our multiple educational rooms, typically full of either an educational event or some type of activity or interest group. And then the lower right-hand picture shows a water aerobics class that's not too overly crowded. These photos demonstrate a lack of parking. We're very fortunate to have Putnam City Baptist Church as such a wonderful partner. And they allow us use of their parking lot and also, as you'll see on the lower picture, their golf carts. So when we have busy days, our volunteers get to drive the golf carts, and there's apparently a big competition for who gets to drive the golf carts that day. The top picture you will see in the upper left-hand corner, that's our facility. When I'm taking this picture, I'm standing 2 aisles back at the beginning of the 3rd row of parking in the church parking lot, looking at the center. And then on the bottom picture, you can see our full parking lot. So taking all of these into consideration, thinking about what are strategic requests? What do we feel is the wisest and most efficient use of dollars? We prioritize in this order. One is to expand the parking lot. Yes, people are coming to an exercise facility. Not everyone is coming to exercise. Yes, we can park in the church parking lot. People don't always do that. We've had the tow truck out at least twice since I've been there. It came in July to pull people out of the mud because they're not going to walk that far, and there's a lovely patch of grass right there. So why should they walk all that way? They don't realize there's mud underneath. Purchase some additional land for new construction. The church has property they are willing to sell. They have been approached by another business that is interested in acquiring that land, so there's some competition as far as time is concerned. Expanding the women's locker room, adding a secondary art space. That's the art folks are kind of like pickleball. They will fill up as much space as you can give them, and both have such wonderful benefits. We want to be able to do that. Given that, additionally provide some additional gym space, and then in doing some of these above, we would use some of the current educational space, which creates a need for additional education space. And then ideally, we would like to see a second pool there. We realize there may not be funds for that, so we are committed to venturing on private fundraising as well to help this. Just a couple of very basic drawings. In the blue or purple color, you see the existing structure. The black is the existing parking lot. You'll see 2 additional parking lots in gray. And then you'll see in yellow some additional education space that would be very multi-purpose that we could invite community into as well. A pickleball gym that would have a wood floor to increase utilization and variety of how that space could be used. Additional locker rooms and storage for the additional gym, and then what we would see as another pool area. This is just an up-close picture of the same. Gives you a little bit of detail. We've also included outdoor sports area for various, whether it's croquet or cornhole. I can't tell you how many times I've been hit up for cornhole games the last few weeks, now that the weather's nice. So that would provide another area too. So that is what we are considering and what we are respectfully asking your consideration of. I will have Bill Fleming, our chair of the board, come up and talk a little bit about budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, and staff. When we entered into this endeavor several years ago, our goal was to serve the community, and I think we've done that well and hopefully increase the health of Oklahoma City in general. The response to Wellness Center #1 has been absolutely amazing. I don't think anyone envisioned what would take place or happen out there. In order to continue the growth, we're going to have to expand the facility. You just saw Claire's presentation on what's happening right now. We're growing at the rate of a couple of hundred people a month, and it will continue to grow. That age demographic is increasing, and so we will see more and more demand, I think, on all the wellness centers, and particularly in these zip codes there. I wanted to share with you very quickly, because we do value your time, where we would spend the $3.5 million that we're requesting. First, we'd want to purchase additional land, and we budgeted approximately $650,000 for that purpose. I will tell you that the church has been approached by someone wanting to build senior housing there and offered $800,000 for that property. And I don't think we need that much property. We can scale that down. We need to enlarge the parking lot. The original budget number for that when we first looked at building the parking lot was about $130,000. That did not include any of the soft costs. And of course, in 2 or 3 years' time, prices have gone up. So we budgeted that at $182,500. An additional gym, which would house the pickleball courts, suitable for ballroom dancing. We believe we can do that for $1,250,000. Then locker rooms and a second pool. The estimated cost is $250,000. And we're not planning to try to build a pool in this budget. We would like to go ahead and get the locker rooms there, get those in place, the dressing rooms in place, and then we would, through private funding, raise the money to build a pool as soon as we're able to do that. Then additional parking. Fire lane would be $220,000, and also we're looking at $750,000 for that flex space or that auditorium. One of the things that we'll do when we do this remodel and expansion is take the room that's immediately adjacent to our art room right now, and we will turn that large meeting room into additional art space. Those classes are maxed out, and you can go back there anytime, and there just isn't any room in that facility for additional art, so we will take that and use it for that. The ladies' locker room is, from what I've told, I obviously don't have the ability to go in there and see that during business hours, but I'm told that it's absolutely packed, that it's an untenable situation, so we're going to take the space immediately adjacent to the east of that and we're going to turn that into additional ladies' locker room, dressing room space. And then the outdoor recreation area would be $62,500. A lot of things we can do there, the things that Claire mentioned, croquet, badminton. There are just a lot of things we could do with that space. It would be a multi-use space. That total comes to $3,500,000. We believe we can do the project or come real close to doing the project for that amount of money. If we have to do some private fundraising to fill in the blank, we will do that. And so we're asking that you would approve that for us today. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your support for Wellness Center number 1 in the past and for all you've done to make it a success. We do greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there questions?
I have a question. Bill and Claire, I'm not as familiar with what Center number 1 is, of course, is number 2, since I attend that. One of the issues I know that is Center number 2 has to do with the way the setup is for the locker rooms. There's one door that you enter, and then there are 2 additional doors once you get inside the corridor for men's and women's locker rooms. I've watched people struggle with both a walker and a wheelchair because they're not automatic, where you press the button, like the front doors of the facility. You know, they're ADA, so you press the button and the doors automatically. How is that? Can you tell me how the arrangement is, and if that's been an issue for you guys?
I can speak to that. We have entrances to each locker room from the main wellness corridor, and then separate entrances from the locker room to the pool area. They do not have handicap accessible entrances. They do not have the push button. That is something that we've thought about. We've not heard people voice that a lot. What we have heard more of is, we have this wonderful lift that can take people down into the water that are wheelchair bound or have ambulation problems. But we do have a handicap accessible dressing room by itself, and there's a separate hallway that goes into the pool. That at the end of that hallway into the pool, there is a heavy glass door, and there is no handicap accessible entrance. There's no push button. That is something we need to look at. That was brought to my attention early on, that we're kind of looking at some costs. So there are some issues. They've not been verbalized much. My background is in aging and disability services, so I'm a little more tuned into that than some people may be. But if we're going to have a lift, and that is used, we need to make sure that it's completely accessible.
And just sitting here listening to you and looking at the numbers, perhaps because the numbers are so large and you have so many people, there's someone there likely to open the door. And quite frankly, that's not always the case at number 2. And so, I walked down the corridor and I've seen, so maybe that's the answer, is you have enough folks to help others. The other thing I want to say, Tom, is that there's no question that Senior Wellness Center number 1, this is legitimate ask, and these are important issues. However, I'm going to abstain from the vote because of, you all heard me say this before, because of my preference that we look at all of the needs of all the subcommittees at the same time, so I'll abstain. But I want you guys to know, of course, I understand what your needs are, and they are legitimate.
To speak just a little bit more into the questions you ask also, I would say that we're more than willing to sit down on any of the future wellness centers to share our experiences with them. We have found some things that have a few shortcomings, and hopefully that can be corrected. And certainly in our addition of adding locker rooms and dressing rooms, we'll address those issues there.
I think that's a great idea. We've asked the architect, Hornbeek Blatt, to meet with you guys and discuss some of those things. And MAP staff keeps a list of those kind of things, so as we continue to build these, we can identify some of those.
Like those locker rooms, particularly the ladies' locker room, I can't imagine. Again, the classes I go to that are 25, 28 women, they wait. I know that some people stay in the water a lot longer than they would prefer to, and some people leave the class early. So I don't know how that ever happened in the design work, people just weren't thinking, I guess, they were going to be as popular as they are, the pool. But that's one of those lessons learned that I hope number 3 will certainly look at.
We'd certainly like to help address any of those issues that we can.
Bob?
Excuse me, just a question. In the $3.5 million, does that include architectural and engineering services and those costs, or are those hard construction costs?
That includes architectural engineering costs, the soft cost, and like I mentioned before, if that number comes up short after the plans are drawn and it goes out for bid, then Claire has a proven history as a fundraiser, and we'll put her out raising funds to try to make sure we have the adequate funds to complete the project.
Sue?
I have a question for David that I guess connects to maybe what Mike was mentioning. Where are we on our schedule as far as seeing all of the committees, the wish lists, and that coming forward?
Right. That's something that I'd hoped to bring to you this month. We didn't quite get that completed, so I will bring you a plan next month. If you're interested in the numbers as they are right now, Mike Mice can come up here and show you what we showed council on Tuesday. We did a quick summary on that, so I'd like for him to come up and show that, if that's all right.
Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members, David. Unlike some of the presentations I've made to you in the past, this one really is going to be brief. This is a table that shows you the available funds as we see them today, which includes $29 million available in excess collections. We anticipate $22 million being available from the convention center. That $22 million represents the difference between the very favorable bid that we received and the budget that we had. It also, I need to point out that $22 million does not include our standard project contingency, which is $11 million. And given the fact that we are as far out of the ground as we are on that project, that's where a lot of that risk is usually achieved, and we think that we're going to be pretty well comfortable with the $11 million being able to absorb any changes that we have on that project. So that gives us a total available of $51 million. The lists that you see below show the asks as we currently have them from each of the subcommittees. You'll see that total is just about $61 million, which would leave us, if we did all of those projects, a shortfall of approximately $10 million. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to respond to those.
I recall from a few meetings ago, there were some other sources of funds that could maybe be used, like federal grants or other city funds that could be used for some of this work. Is that contemplated in this, or is this assuming that everything is paid for with MAPS dollars?
We've used some grants and have been made available for sidewalks and trails, but there are no other federal grants or other sources of funds anticipated in this.
Right. I think what you're referring to is when we did the bigger presentation last month, and we showed that the Better Streets, Safer Cities and the GEO bond has a lot of money in there for trails and sidewalks. That's some of the supplemental funds. But right now, we're just showing all the asks and where we are financially on this.
So just to clarify, so in other words, this is assuming that MAPS is going to pay for everything that's being requested, but perhaps in reality, you might have some of the sidewalk projects actually be handled in that example with the Better Community money. Or it could be.
Could be, yes.
That's something on the table. Okay.
And I was just thinking, David, of the dollars in unlisted bond projects. I don't know, but again, what you're saying, Nathaniel, I think probably the only category fit would be sidewalks. that might be available.
Sue?
Well, I wanted to make just a comment about trails and sidewalks. So on our wish list, I'm not aware of any sidewalks on that wish list. And then the trails that we're talking about, some of those bonds, some of those other proposals, they can cover then things that we haven't been able to do. So there's no lighting anywhere, there's not amenities anywhere, even like signage packages. Those are really huge needs throughout the whole city, but those are not things that we've done with MAPS money. And we've tried to be really careful about, on our trails with MAPS money, being a little congruent with what we've done on each of the trails. So just doing that little yabut dance for you on that. So I don't expect that the Trails Committee would say, oh, we don't have any requests, because we really do. So, there you go.
You want to?
Well, I wasn't I know I've missed a Trails and Sidewalks meeting. I was just shocked that the Trails and Sidewalks was coming in for $13 million. I wasn't aware of that. Did that include the
two projects that are the two projects that are on there is the Northwest Expressway sidewalks that has been discussed and using matching money for a grant, and then a trail from Earlywine to the river, Earlywine Park.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that one. But that is the one that has that matching grant on that sidewalk. Plus, we hope that that will also increase the Embark route, too.
What I also want to point out is that the senior wellness number here is a fifth wellness center and includes this $3.5 million request today.
Yeah, the first list that we saw did not include this, and just to kind of review the process that we have, Cecilia asked us last month if we would consider adding the procedure, the request that you have just seen. And so that went through our normal process of going back to the subcommittee, and now it comes back to us today. And Cecilia, would you like to be heard about that?
Yes, and in that review of the committee and having the conversation about the ask for the fifth wellness center, in addition to, as a committee, feeling like the ask for the $3.5 million for wellness center number one was warranted, it caused us to also go back and think about a fifth wellness center and whether or not we have allocated sufficient funds for senior wellness center number 2, 3, and 4 to meet the needs of the community. And so we are, as a committee, we discussed having to think about, does it make more sense to think about a wellness center number 5 or to make 2, 3, and 4 the best that they can be? And so that number was, for lack of a better word, a placeholder, if you will, and I think we're still kind of in discussions about what that'll look like.
Everybody understand, Cecilia, they're rethinking the ask for the $15 million for Senior Wellness Center number 5, and we may hear more about 2, 3, and 4 as we go forward. Bob? I'm sorry.
David answered my question. I assumed that the Fifth Wellness Center was included in the $18 million figure, and but I just wanted to get that clarified as David did.
And I want to make sure we're clear. This ask is out of excess funds. So all the ask that is before you now is out of the excess money that we have. Okay?
And one more quick question. Does this also include a few items that we've already approved? So there's the river improvements last month.
Right, and that was just approved Tuesday, and this is from that day, so we haven't updated that. You're correct. That's a different number. That's an additional $4 million on the streetcar. They had two, a priority 1 and a priority 2. So the streetcar priority 1 was awarded, but there's still some other things that is on a list.
Okay, other questions for Mike?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then, this does come to us with the recommendation of the subcommittee for senior wellness, and Cecilia was the proponent of this. I'm going to give her a chance to say whatever she wants to. And then Mike, who chairs that subcommittee, did not vote for this, and so I want to give him a chance to explain whatever explanation he'd like to make. Cecilia?
Well, and I think in my opening, I just talked about, like I said, this being an enhancement, and for us to be able to make sure that our flagship Senior Wellness Center has the opportunity to serve the community and meet a need that we probably couldn't have anticipated that the city had at this point. And so with that's what I based my recommendation to the council for approval on.
Michael?
Again, Tom, my thoughts have nothing to do with the need. I recognize that. It has to do with what I've talked about before, ideally looking at all the needs at the same time, so that's why I'll abstain.
All right, and I will just add to that, David and I did talk about and hope to have the formalized list for you, but there were some meeting notice requirements and things. But you will have, that'll be an agenda item for next week to look at the whole picture, although we won't be necessarily voting on every item on it, but it'll be the start of that process of looking at all of the requests that we have, what we've already done, and what is out there for us to consider doing in the future. So the only things that have been acted on to this part are streetcar and wellness and river. And today we're thinking about this part for Senior Wellness Center number 1. Everything else is out there to be determined in the future. Is that right, David? Yes. Okay, Zane.
I just one other question. Now, will the subcommittees have an opportunity to review these wish lists before it comes to the board?
Well, they've already submitted the wish list through each subcommittee, and we've compiled them, and the board, I feel like it's this board's place to determine where and when that gets funded.
Because after seeing this total list, and as the vice chair for sidewalks and trails, I would like to go back and take a look at this and see if we couldn't, I hate to say this, cut that list, par that list down a little bit to make some funds, more funds available for some of the other projects. Not that I want to not have a 4th trail, but I think like the health and wellness centers are much more in need. And what about the other health and wellness centers? What are they going to need in addition to this? So
well, we can bring that plan, we can discuss it, and if we want to go back and do that method also, we can do
okay,
that.
I hope that we keep that avenue open, because I don't want to say, well, we've got to have all these others too, and take away from some of the other higher priorities. So.
Well, Zane, I agree with you, and the way I've been thinking about it is that we asked them to bring to us those things that had a time element, that timing was important. For example, we thought it was really important on the streetcar to be able to have the money to get that finished. So we acted on it. River had a timeliness issue. This ask has a timeliness issue. The fact that the others don't have a timeliness issue would indicate we can take the time we want to. And so if your subcommittee wants to relook at something, then I think you should just notify David and ask him to put it on the agenda for next month.
I'll probably get tarred and feathered by the subcommittee members, but yeah, I would like to have an opportunity for us to go back and take a look at that.
Well, I think that's consistent with our process, and I think it's, and if something is not a timeliness issue, I don't see any reason not to do it. Do you all? Is that okay? Okay, well, then if you're a subcommittee chair and you want something like that to be considered, contact David or staff, okay? All right. Is there further discussion on the item before us?
Just one point for the record, as a participating and paying member of Wellness Center number 1, I think I will abstain from voting on this, just in case there's any perception I have a personal interest in spending more money on the Wellness Center. I probably don't need to do that, but I'm going to abstain just for that reason.
Okay. I didn't realize you were old enough to go there, but this is terrific news.
Thank you. I'm more
Okay.
than old enough to go there. Unfortunately, don't go as often as I'd like or need to.
Claire, would you be able to send us a report whether he's current on his dues? All right.
I'm going to send you a gift card.
All right. The question, Sue?
Bob, I am also a paying member, and I am going to vote. And the reason is, I also use the river, and I voted for that. So, you know, I intend to use the streetcar. And I've actually gone to Senior Wellness Center number 2 and walked the trail there. I like walking the trail there, and here's the reason why. Because it's too crowded at Senior Wellness Center number 1. And I can tell you at least 10 times in the last month, I haven't gone in and parked at Senior Wellness Center number 1 because it was too crowded. I don't use the pool anymore. It's too crowded. So, anyway, you might consider rethinking.
Well, your arguments are persuasive, and as I was sitting here thinking about it, I thought it was a close question. I didn't think really there was any conflict of interest in my voting, but I didn't want there to be a perception that as a charter member of the Wellness Center that I was voting for personal interest rather than an objective view of what's going on. Considering your remarks, I think that's a fair point, that we all use the MAPS projects that we're voting on, and that doesn't disqualify us from voting for it. So I'll reconsider, and I'll go ahead and vote. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. I think the question is before us. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nobody's made a motion yet? Oh, gosh, I thought they did before we discussed it. Okay, who wants to make a motion? All right, the motion's been made and seconded that we adopt the resolution before us giving $3.5 million to Wellness Center number 1. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Abstain, 1 abstention. All right. The chair says it passes. The resolution is adopted. Congratulations. Many thanks.
Thank you.
Bill and Claire, before you leave, I do want to tell you this. The first time we met as a group, we had hoped that these projects would just be super successful and that our citizens would use them and feel like they were getting what they asked for. And we have no better example than what you all have done, and I just want to tell you, give you a word of personal thanks for the effort that all of you have put into this, and it is a shining example of what a lot of people working together can do, and I really appreciate what you have done. Congratulations from all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 12, David.
Moving on to trails, item 12 is presentation on construction progress of MAPS 3 Phase 3 Project 1 trail improvements, Lake Draper Trail Project M3-T003. So I wanted to just give this board an update on what's going on with the Draper Trail. It's been under construction for a while. Brett Cavness is here for his section of the trail. He's with Cavness Engineering, and we have all 3 of the engineers here. So I'd like to turn it over to Brett.
Good morning, everybody. We'll give a quick overview of the Lake Draper Trail system. If you all recall, the nearly 15 miles or 14 miles of the trail will encompass Lake Draper. It's split up into 3 separate construction projects, design projects. Roughly the budget for those were set at $3.4 million. For just a total of a little over $10 million. The actual bids for all 3 have come in, and those total were about $8.4 million. So we saw a savings immediately with the design. Currently, for MAPS Trail M3-T003, the project that we're responsible for, We've had a few minor additions to the project. We've had a few minor change orders according to the slide there that you see. Change order number 1 and amendment number 1 primarily is the addition of a new parking facility or a new trailhead located near the marina area. Amendment number 2, as you'll see in a slide later on, addresses some additional drainage issues that we discovered below the dam after the recent rains in September and August and now October that we've had to deal with. And those were primarily because of the lake level has gotten a lot higher than it was whenever we originally did the survey. We did not realize that there were some areas of seepage that is created by a higher water level in the lake that we did not address. So that's what you see with amendment number 2 there. So a little bit about Trail T003. It is the westernmost part of Draper. It starts, it's almost 5 miles. It starts about southeast 89th Street and progresses south and west along the lake. It has 3 main street crossings at 89th, southeast 104th, and then at Water Plant Road near the dam. The project terminates, our project terminates below the dam and will tie into CEC Corporation's project at the north end at 89th Street. Will tie into Triad Design Group's project that's going through there. And again, we mentioned that there's going to be an addition of a new parking lot that's approximately 29 spaces with 2 handicap spaces that will have a connection point to the trail at that location. The first really segment that I kind of want to show some of the progress in construction really dates back to when we really started doing rough grading back in March, right after the, I guess, the groundbreaking at that point in time. Since that time, we've had asphalt laid in May. The final lift of asphalt and curbing on the trail was installed in September, and we look to have final grading and some sod laid down by the end of October now. As of this morning, our construction folks updated me, and they said that based on the wet weather, we're delayed till probably Monday until we start to see some sod laid down on the trail, or adjacent to the trail, not on the trail. Adjacent to the trail to finish that out. But what you see here on the right-hand side is West Draper Road, and see the proximity of the new trail, the rough grading as it looked back in April of this year. The next slide here shows the first base course going down. You'll see the proximity of the trail gets a little bit closer to West Draper Drive. Again, we are outside the limits of what they call a clear zone, so any errant vehicles that drive off of Draper Drive will not interfere with the trail. They do have an opportunity to recover and get back on the roadway in most everywhere that we put the trail. This was taken in June. Since that time, this was early in October, you see the curbing and the final lift of asphalt has been installed, and the fine grading has been done, ready for sod. This has been for several weeks now in the very northern end of the project that we were ready for sod. We just haven't had an opportunity to get sod out there based on the wet weather. The amount of water at the sod farms has kind of prevented us from cutting sod as well. So this gets a little bit closer to the existing marina parking lot. You see the lake in the background, and this is a small spur connection from the existing parking lot that's shared with other the marina folks that will spur back over to the main trail. And this was back in June where they did the rough grading. The end of June they did the base course, and you can see they were getting ready for the curb and gutter machine to come through there. And then this is the way it was towards the end of July. Now they are in the process of adding that last lift, 2-inch lift of asphalt to complete that trail section right there, and so it should be done right now. The next is the section that the subcommittee had made a recommendation on, the trail alignment, getting a little bit closer to the lake in some areas. This, again, in April and May, we did a lot of the grading and the first lift of asphalt. Since then, we're again on schedule for sodding, final grading to be done this month. This is a great look at how close the trail will be adjacent to the lake. This was taken in April, and you notice that the lake level is down a little bit. Since that time, the lake has gotten back to its normal water pool elevation. And one of the items in change order number 1 was to add some additional riprap in a location very near this location to protect for some future erosion if from a north wind would create wave action that would erode the bank. So we added some riprap in a location just so we could protect the trail any future erosion and encroachment upon that. You see the first lift of, or the base course of asphalt's been laid here with the curb on one side. You notice the paint marks on the other side. Those are for the curb machine and its alignment as it would come through. Those paint marks obviously go away when we install the curb, and obviously will not be seen when the last lift of asphalt's put in place. Again, the close proximity to the lake and the great views that you'll be able to see once the trail is completed. This is the location where we had one of the drainage structures installed through there. It's near the access point to point number 4. That was back in April. Again, the base course and the curb machine, as you see in the very far view of the picture here, was starting its work that day that we took the photo back in August. And then this is a more current photo that's taken in early October. The trail is complete in this area, shouldered up, graded out, and fine grading, ready for some sod. Now you'll notice in some locations you see sod already or the grass starting to revegetate naturally. In those locations, we will not add sod. We will try to be wise with our use of the dollars that we've been allocated for this project, not to just put sod over the top of existing grass. So I think there is going to be some cost savings in that potentially. The next section is where actually the trail goes across from the east side of Draper Drive to the west side of Draper Drive near the Cross Timbers riding area. Again, the schedule that you can see through there, we look to be complete with the final grading and sodding sometime this month through here. But again, one of the things that we were adamant about is if we could adjust the alignment of the trail to save trees, to provide some shade in some location. This photo is a great example of where we allowed the contractor and the field representative to have a little bit of leeway on the alignment. It did not increase the project scope or anything like that, but we were able to go take the trail between some trees and have some meandering through this area near the Cross Timbers area. You see the base course, the erosion control, that's up, and as we get a little bit closer now, the trail is complete in that area with the exception of where we come up to the crossing at Draper Drive. One thing that we want to emphasize in this location where we cross Draper Drive is you can see from the trail the distance back to the south. Trail riders have the opportunity, and it's the same looking back north, to see traveling vehicles coming towards them as they get ready to prepare and cross the Draper Drive. Likewise, the vehicular drivers on Draper Drive have a very good view to where they can see approaching trail riders coming up to this. We have advanced signing on both Draper Drive and the trail, trying to notify everybody that there is a crossing that is coming up at this location. And then the last segment of our area is down near the treatment plant road and where we go below the dam in this area. Most of this work is completed, as you can tell by the schedule. Back in July, when it was still relatively dry before the rains of August, you see the general layout of the alignment as it goes down below the dam. And then here, this is in September, and you notice all the water that you see standing in the foreground of the picture with the trail base course already installed. The low spots, they were created, were originally had drains, cross drains there, again, with the high lake level and the hydrostatic pressure of the lake pushing water, seeping underneath the dam, which is normal. It's a normal function. I don't want to scare anybody. But we did find a couple of other locations where we thought it would be prudent to put cross drains underneath the trail, adjust the trail up slightly, to whereas we don't have a soft spot potentially developing whenever we have a high lake level. And then you see here, this was in September when it was a little bit drier, but in the far view of the picture, you see where the construction equipment is working their way up out of the bottom below the dam, back towards the water treatment plant. Final grading, ready for sod in this area, and again, it looks like next week is the anticipated construction phase for the sod to be placed. So, schedule. It's ironic that today is the 25th of October. It was a year ago today that the subcommittee recommended this project move forward. And you all approved it the following day. So roughly about a year out, you see the progress that we've made. We're almost there for the first trail through there. We anticipate being done in the end of November. The parking lot is a little bit weather dependent. It was an addition at, towards the end of the project, so it may be a little closer to December for the parking lot construction, but the trail construction will be done by the end of November. So we're excited to bring you this update, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Well, thank you. Really appreciate the update.
Thank you.
David?
And then next we have an update on the second section of the trail. Kyle Morris is here from CEC Engineering.
Good morning. Well, to start us off, we connect up below the base of the dam next to cabinets as well. Quick overview, 4 mile long alignment, and we have major crossings at Stanley Draper Drive, 134th Street, 104th Street, and we also have a parking lot that will be kind of constructed on the southeast corner of the lake. Wrong direction. Quick overview of the construction cost. The budget's $3.4 million. We are currently up to $2.9 million. We just recently processed a amendment and change order. The amendment, well, both of these are primarily related to improvements to eliminate all occurrences of sheet flow over the trail. As originally designed, we had permitted for there to be small volumes of unconcentrated sheet flow to go across the trail. These changes have been an improvement to the trail to, in some cases, raise the trail to some degree, and then to create a bar ditch on the uphill side to capture that flow instead of a line to go across the trail, and then transmit it to the nearest cross drain across and then to the lake. So that will be a big improvement to the project. Here's an overview of our alignment here. So it connects up on the south side of the dam where Cabinets ends, and ties up on the north with Triad segment at 104th Street. We'll go through some pictures here. This is at the south side of the dam. These pictures are a couple weeks old now. This is kind of very rough strokes. They've been focusing, CPA has been focusing on construction to the north of Stanley Draper Drive, and they've been doing a lot of work up there, which we'll see here in a second. This is kind of rough grades here where we would tie up to the next project. Some more photos out on the south below the dam. You can see we have the parking lot there where it's going to be built eventually at Westminster. Further on, this is the part of the project that's had a lot more progress. You can see where we have highlighted the trail location where it will roughly be in the section there. I got a storm structure constructed there. They've made a lot of progress in this area on the north side of Stanley Draper Drive, and they are looking to start subgrade stabilization efforts soon. some more photos, just kind of showing they've got the grade up to where the stabilization needs to be put in place, and they will soon be moving on to asphalt and curb installation. So the current schedule is that grading drainage will be completed in November of this year. Concrete curbing and the first list of asphalt is anticipated in December and early January, with the final asphalt procedures being finished in January, and then final completion of the project in February of next year. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Questions? Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the update.
Thank you.
And then item 14 is the third section of the trail. Robbie Williams is here with Triad Design Group.
Good morning.
Morning, Robert.
We have the last section, which basically goes around the north and half of the east side of the lake. If you remember, our section is very terrainy with hills and vegetation and trees. So we'll get started if I can go in the right direction. Again, ours is about 4.5 miles. We begin at 89th and we end around 104th on the east side. As Mr. Cavan has pointed out, our trail is 25 feet, minimum of 25 feet from the road or greater in most instances for the clear zone from the cars. Where we do come, we have several creek crossings, so where we do come in closer to the road, there's either existing guardrail or we're installing guardrail. We also have a parking lot at the southeast corner of North Stanley Draper Drive and Midwest Boulevard. It's about 20 parking spaces, 2 handicap spaces. There was no electrical power in that area, so we will be using solar lighting that the city can put on a timer. And so we'll move forward. Our original construction amount was $2.8 million. Last month, you approved an amendment number 1, which added about 800 feet of 18-inch concrete pipe. Once we got started and cleared, we had some initial meetings, and the Parks Department was there. And through their request, we went back and looked at our trail design. They really wanted to minimize no water over the trail. The original design blended the trail into the environment. We did have bar ditches and concrete pipes, but they wanted us to go a lot further and really get the water off the trail. This last month, we have gone back through our plans. We have added more ditches on each side of the trail. And so next month, we will come back with another amendment to take care of the earthwork and probably a few other drainage pipes. So now we'll just show you where we're at. Basically, we've done all the clearing. The trail, for the most part, is probably 70% graded. These changes will take care of the rest of the 30%. About 80% of the storm sewer pipes are in there. So we have been moving along. I just want to make that clear to you. So our project starts where Cavaniss Trail ends and we go north. This section is pretty well graded. Here's the section where we came in and we extended a structure, a drainage structure for the trail to go over. And again, all these pictures are going to kind of look alike. This is looking east down Stanley Draper Drive. This section is pretty well graded. And to my right, not the whole area is shown, but that is where the parking lot will be. Again, this is just looking east down Stanley Draper Drive. This is a section as we meander through the trees. Again, the trail's just going along the road. Here's a section of the trail that is pretty well complete. They'll come back in on the right side, and they still need to finish the bar ditches. Here's an example of some cross drains that we had to extend, and as you can see, there was already existing guardrail there. Again, just another picture of the trail with the road and the trees meandering through the trees as we go along in some areas. Pretty much along Stanley Draper Drive as we go south to the end of the project, we are paralleling the road, and that was mainly due to all the vegetation and trees. So we wanted to clear that area to make it safe and visible for the trail users. And again, this is just another section. This is an example of where the water was going to sheet flow from the road about 25 feet over the trail, but the Parks Department was adamant that we go in there and add bar ditches. So that's what we've been doing. And this is the end of the project where we tie to Phase 2 trail. Our current contract completion date is the end of January. That will probably get extended a little bit to give them some extra time to complete the earthwork. So if anybody has any questions, I would be glad to answer them.
Questions? Thank you. Really appreciate you being here.
All right. Have a good day.
Just want to mention the next 4 items are all action items, and we are at our minimum quorum. So I'm hoping that everybody has the time. We're running a little bit behind. Nobody's fault, but we have some action items that we can all stay together to get these taken care of in a timely way. David?
So item 15 is recommend resolution approving amendment number 2, Maps 3, Phase 3, Project 1, Trail Improvements, Lake Draper Trail, increase to $25,105, Project M3-T003. So as Mr. Cabinet described, there was some additional pipes that needed to be added on this project.
Move approval.
Is there a second? Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is adopted. David?
Item 16 is recommend resolution approving change order number 1 and amendment number 1, Maps 3, Phase 3, Project 2, Trail Improvements, Lake Draper Trail, increase of $92,357.60. Project M3-T003A, another change order and an amendment. Reinforced concrete drop inlet was added, and there's a no-cost time extension on this. And then there's some grading and drainage provisions. That's the bulk of the amendment.
Been moved and seconded. We approve the resolution in item 16. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 17, David.
Item 17 is recommend resolution approving amendment number 3 to contract for architectural services with Frankfurt Short Bruza Associates, PC, Maps 3, Oklahoma State Fairgrounds Phase 2 New Expo Building, increase of $237,658.20, project M3-F002. So this is an amendment to FSB's contract. They were the original architects for the Bennett Event Center. And this is to package the items that we change ordered out that the contractor was not able to complete. We change ordered those out. This will put those in a form so that we can go out and bid. There's also some miscellaneous other things in this project, but this is to finish out the project as was meant to be. And it comes with the approval from the subcommittee.
Bob?
I recommend approval. Move be accepted.
Been moved and seconded. We approve this. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. David, one question about it. It's adopted. But we're still pursuing whatever rights we might have versus the contractor that didn't do the things.
Well, we did the change order, and it was essentially a settlement.
Okay. Thank you. Next item.
Item 18 is recommend resolution approving change order number 16 and amendment number 15, MAPS 3 Modern Streetcar Mainline, increase of $242,704.38, project M3-S007. We're getting really close to completion of the streetcar construction. We still have a lot of testing to do, and you've probably seen streetcars on the street. But this is a change order that changes some things that, as we go along through construction, that get requested. And for instance, there's right off the change order, there's a credit of $19,000 for some signals on 11th Street that, as we went through with the project and discussions with Public Works, we decided it just weren't needed. So we're able to get that money back. Then Opticom traffic signal system is $147,000 of this, and that is to help with the traffic signal prioritization that you've heard a lot about. This is to help increase our times. Some detection cameras, so instead of going with loops, we've gone with cameras at intersections, various places. So there's a credit on one side, but then there's an additional cost for the cameras on the other. I'm just hitting the high points. Charging bar extension, that's the bar at what we call stop number 5, which is the double stop that's at the boulevard. As we were doing testing and starting to go into operations, realized that it's really hard for the operator to find that spot on the platform where he can load passengers, but also be at the right point where he can raise that pantograph and make contact. So this is going to extend that charging bar so it's a little easier. He has a little more room for error as far as where he stops the vehicle. So I hope that helps. This comes with we didn't have a quorum, but it comes recommended from those that were there at the meeting.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Number 19, is there any new business to come before the Citizens Advisory Board? Hearing none, let's go to item 20. In addition to what we already discussed, any subcommittee reports today? All right then. Informational items. Any of those you want to comment on, David?
No, sir.
All right. Any questions about the informational items? All right. That brings us then to David's brief report.
We've talked about pretty much everything. I just want to point out that the Wellness Center number 4 operating partner proposals are due on the 31st of this month, so we're real close to seeing who the operator might be. And we briefly talked about sidewalks. We still have some sidewalks under construction. Everything else is going well.
David, would you want to mention to everyone the event that's occurring at 1:15 this afternoon, or maybe Nathaniel does?
Right. Well, we're calling it the final weld. We actually saw that weld last week, but we're commemorating that final connection of the streetcar track this afternoon with a plaque that'll be placed in there, and everybody's welcome to join us. It's at 5th and Robinson.
5th and Robinson,
North.
1:15, right? David, one question. I'm told that the people will be able to sign the track. How does that happen?
There will be a piece of track there that people will be able to sign.
Okay, and they're going to display that somewhere. So if you're there and you want to sign the track, so to speak, this is your opportunity. Okay, thank you. Additional comments by board? Sue?
I might just say that I really want to thank staff and also the City Parks Department just for the continual work, and then Mike Mize, because I know we're really working hard right now, and just the overseeing of things like the trails and making sure, water's been an issue for all of us, but it's somewhat of a blessing on the trails, so it helps us see exactly how we're doing our drainage, and it's been a challenge for sure. So thank you. to staff and ADG.
Thanks. Anyone else? All right, then. This is an opportunity for any citizens that are here that would like to be heard by the Citizens Advisory Board. Any citizens want to be heard? Anything from staff, David?
No, sir.
I want to thank Sue for her motion to adjourn, and seconded by Nathaniel. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.